All right, but man, welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. In studio, I'm joined by Mount Carmel head coach, Jordan Lynch. Jordan, congratulations. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. What a great honor, great studio here.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I've been kind of going through the gamut here. You've definitely been someone I wanted to have on for a while. I had Coach Lenthy on, I think, in 2019, around then. So kind of just been a long time coming. I mean, would it be 3 and 5 years now, we're saying, because of the COVID year?
Yeah, technically 6 years, but if you can't win state in the COVID year, why count it, right? Mm-hmm. So 3 and 5.
No, man, it's amazing. Obviously when you took the job, you envisioned to just keep the tradition rolling, but has this been quicker than you anticipated?
Man, just being a competitor, you always, you set some expectations for yourself. You write down your goals, and the goal was to win, state championship and have immediate success. When I took over the program, it was in great hands before me, and I always say, if I end up leaving, it's going to be in great hands after me also, the way I left it. But I had a lot of great mentors that kind of helped me out when I took over. And one of them to me is Dave Lenthy. He stayed on. He was our defensive coordinator, and just he's in the Illinois Hall of Fame for coaches, and he stayed on for 2 or 3 years and learned a lot from him. He was able to make this transition pretty easy, when I took over, and we had a lot of great kids that love football, and were eager to learn, kind of a new system and things like that, and the mentors, the coaches, the kids in the building, and the administrative staff just being super supportive was able to make this 5 years, 3 state championships in 5 years. Pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, that's crucial because listen, what you did a year at Northern at coaching?
Yeah, 2017 did a year.
Yeah, but then you take over the reins. I mean, that gap to be a head coach to calling everything is probably huge.
For sure. I think I was 26, 27 years old at the time. One of the youngest coaches in high school football, to take over, especially a Catholic League Blue, dominant, the best program in the state. So, like I said, I had a lot of great support staff, but I believed in myself also. I know what I'm capable of doing. Kind of being a captain, a leader everywhere I've been, and I've won everywhere I've been also. Yeah. So I was. People might not have saw the vision of what I saw, but I definitely saw it, and I knew the process and steps it took.
For sure. So you were prepared heading in, even though if you had to learn a lot on the fly.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I've learned, and some time management skills and getting some things down. But I had a lot of mentors, like I said, to help me along the way.
Yeah, well, I'm 09 too, so I remember watching you too in our junior and senior year. What was it? I know you beat Maine South and Goro, right?
Right.
In the semis?
Broke his collarbone at Gately, right?
Yeah. I remember that game.
Yeah, it was. Then we ended up losing my junior year to Glenbard North.
That's right. Evan Watkins, yes. He went to Northwestern,
Then
right?
the kid that they ran a flea flicker to beat us, the kid that caught the flea flicker was Matt Ing. Ended up, he was a walk-on receiver at NIU, so I had to hear, his shit for the last 4 or 5 years when I was there. So then my senior year, lost to Hinsdale Central. John Whitelaw, quarterback, ended up playing in the Ivy League, was another great player. But as a player, I always wanted to make it to say I wanted to win a state championship. I grew up watching those games and never got it done. So I was able to get it done, as a coach. So.
And was that junior year you beat Maine South?
Junior year,
yes, because they won state senior year.
Right.
And then senior year, how far did you guys go?
Semifinals again. Lost to Hinsdale Central.
Okay, Hinsdale, and then so that was junior. You lost to Glenbard and Watkins. Got you. Our year was actually a really good quarterback class. I feel like that, at least from kids getting scholarships.
Right.
I think that Marion Central kid went to Wisconsin, Budmeyer or something.
Yeah, John Budmeyer.
Yes.
You had Charlie Whitlaw, Downers Grove kid. Yep. Ended up going to U of I. Mm-hmm. You had a Rochester kid that broke every single passing record at the time.
Yes. What was his name? He went to Oklahoma State, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It'll register. So.
Yeah, I'm blanking on. And then Goro went to Vandy.
Right.
Yeah. And then you go to the MAC school and you just fucking
it's
take it over.
Kind of, crazy recruiting story with them, with NIU. I got recruited by a guy named Jeff Phelps, who's he was with Mike Leach down at Mississippi State. I think he's at North Dakota State now, but he was a guy that was recruiting me. I thought they were going to come in. They were coming in the summertime or whatever, and or the springtime, and I thought they were all interested. They were going to offer me a scholarship, and they came and offered one of my teammates a scholarship, and said I was kind of too small, this or that, and I was kind of taken back. Never thought I'd play college football, especially at Division I level, and rightfully so. It's hard to be taken serious as a quarterback when you run the very option, right? So I was getting recruited as an athlete. Had decent size, measurables were okay, but anyways, long story short, we go to, I remember taking a nap. There was a Friday night light camp, right, at NIU. I was taking a nap. My dad kind of walked by, kicked me, and said, "Hey, we're going to this camp, at NIU. Let's go." I'm like, "I told you the story. They're not interested. I'm too small. They're not going to recruit me, this or that." And he pretty much dragged me out of the house. We went up there Friday night, lights camp, played corner, played safety, played receiver, played quarterback. Next thing you know, before I was able to even leave campus, Jerry Kill called me back in the office, offered me a full ride scholarship to NIU, and I committed the next day. First coach to believe in me, and I was happy. I didn't care about the whole recruiting process. I was a kid that I don't know where life would have took me if I wasn't playing college football. I probably would have been in the Marines or something like that. So
getting in fights.
Yeah, right.
Park.
Egging cars on Halloween still.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just I got to thank my parents, my dad for getting me out of bed that day and taking me there, because what a hell of a run at NIU. In the next 5 years, and going to MAC championships, playing in the Orange Bowl, going to the Heisman ceremony, kind of a dream come true.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a big difference from kind of what we started from this show. Because what I noticed off the bat was your conviction and obviously your confidence in what you're doing. So was that something that kind of came with you as success happened? Because that story right there, you kind of sounds like you almost threw in the towel.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always believed in myself. It's tough at a young age, though, when a grown man, a grown adult, a coach tells you, you're not good enough, you don't have the size, you're not going to play here. It's kind of, especially at that early age, it's what else can I do? So at a certain point, I mean, I'm human too. I beat myself up and things like that, but I always believed in myself, and you know what? My parents always believed in me too, which is something special. When you have someone that believes in you almost more than you believe in yourself, it's a powerful thing. So I always had a great supporting staff and people around me.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. And you said Jerry Kill. What a legend that guy is, dude.
Yeah, he's Jerry's the best. And I had 3 different head coaches at Northern Illinois. Out of my 5 years, I had 4 different quarterback coaches. So it's great for me now in the coaching world, with how small the coaching world is, with knowing all these people and who's coached me, right? But Jerry Kill was awesome. Jerry Kill, obviously every coach cares about wins and losses, right? Jerry Kill cared about that, but he cared about relationships. He really cared about you deep down, and that's something that went a long way with me. So I was fortunate enough to be around Jerry for 2 years, and he ends up leaving, taking the Minnesota job, and Dave Dorn takes over. And Dave Dorn, on the other hand, the ultimate motivator to me, right? Cares about relationships, but that man wants to win football games. He wants to win. Ultimate motivator, will do whatever it takes to get you ready to play on game day. And you talk about a guy that had success in 2 years at NIU. Then I had Rod Carey that took over. That was kind of under Dave Dorn, was the OC at the time. And Rod's kind of a mixture of them all. Cared about wins and losses, cared about relationship, kind of a blue-collar mutter type of guy that will get his hands dirty, and just a relatable guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's quite the change, 3 different coaches. So the fact that you were able to kind of hang on and move it forward and do what you did is great.
Right.
Has that affected you, knowing what you went through, right? Like what you said, it was hard to hear a grown man tell you you're not good enough. What's that like on the other side for you when you have to maybe sit a senior who is just not good enough and you got this great junior prospect? What is that like?
Yeah, it's tough, especially this day and age of football, right? It's so competitive. It's I want to win. I want to win badly. But I'm not gonna. To me, if you show up from day one and you're the better player and you put in the time, the effort, and the work, you're going to play regardless of what age you are. But if you're a senior and you've done your time and you're committed to this program, you're going to play. We're playing in the quarterfinal game this year against Quincy, and I put our 6-string tight end in, and I gave him a screen because there's a kid that, was never going to start at Mount Carmel, but he was a kid that worked his tail off, did a good job in scout team, so I put a package in for him. Yeah. I'm all for that. I think at the end of the day, I don't live in the gray world. It's black or white to me. So my kids know that. My team knows that. You show up every single day and you work and you're the better player, I'm sorry. The younger classman's going to play over the senior. And there's never that gray area where they don't understand. They know exactly what's going on.
Standard set right away.
Right away.
Yeah. So people know. That's good. I mean, that's good. But, I mean, granted, when you're, on the recruiting trail and when things, the chips don't fall as they may, I'm sure it's never easy. But if you stick with one way and everyone knows it, it's truly the system, I guess it makes it easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the only way. Back to that Northern, the season, we'll call it, right? The Heisman season. I was looking through it again. Low key, obviously Jameis won. Johnny was a finalist. Jameis is just a goofball. Was he like that the night of? What do you got, like a story about this?
Yeah, so a few things, I guess. I kind of ruined my experience at the Heisman, right? You get down there, I want to say the ceremony Saturday, you get down there early Friday. We ended up going to lunch at this Italian restaurant, and I had, bad pasta or peppers or sausage or something like that. I ended up getting food poisoning. Oh, no. So here we are with the other Heisman candidates that have won in the past, all the previous we're all on a bus, on a tour, and I'm just yakking all over the tour bus, right? And they're like
in the bathroom, or you're puking?
No, just like on people's feet. You know what I mean? I think I ruined Barry Sanders' shoes. It's
oh, dude.
So I'm just yakking all over the place. So I have to go in my room. I feel like shit. I gotta go in my room. I gotta go nap. So that was Friday night. But I just remember with Jameis, I was taking the elevator down. And obviously there's fans always looking at you, and they're all over the place. But Jameis was on, if I'm on the 20th floor, he's on the 10th floor by himself, singing and playing the piano with no one around, just belting it. Just I didn't really get to know him too much. Just a friendly kind of goofball. What you see with him now with some of those short clips is kind of, that's who he is.
Yeah, because he's become kind of I don't want to say a punchline, because obviously he's a good quarterback, but he's just a goofball, like you said, with eating the W's and everything like that.
Right.
He's just a goofball.
Right.
So I was, wondering if that experience was and it sounds like the piano playing story is exactly that.
Yeah.
And then what about Johnny? Anything with Johnny?
He was kind of I like Johnny a lot, and I got to spend time with him at the Combine and at the Heisman ceremony. He kind of seems like a quiet, reserved kid. Only will talk to you if you talk to him, but mostly on his phone, until it became nighttime. Then, singing karaoke on the bus, and, his dad was kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Would kind of get after it and, singing karaoke on the bus and kind of taking over and, kind of life of the party.
Yeah, him and Uncle Nate going nuts.
Yeah.
Besides that whole experience, though, what do you think about the most when it comes to it?
The most, what I would have to say is, honestly, it's what we talked about before is the mentors, right? My parents in my life. That was the ultimate gift I can possibly give my parents, right? A kid on the south side of Chicago that I don't deserve to be in that room, I think I had an express suit that was $60 I was wearing there. You know what I mean? It was a dream come true for me, and for my parents really believing in me and, doing whatever it took to get me to the next level. It's the ultimate just thank you, appreciation. It's the best gift I can possibly give them. So that's what I think about when I think about the Heisman ceremony, because my dad, if you ever met him, he's that guy never had a bad day in his life. He loves Mount Carmel football, loves NIU football. He's always at every game. He travels. Same with my mom, but he was, he was telling me the story, they have the Friday night. There was a gathering, an event in the hotel at the Heisman ceremony, and he's I think he was grinding on like Steve Spurrier's wife. He's dancing with her and fist bumping, and it's he had a blast. My parents had a blast, even though I was sick for that day. But just what I think about the most is just giving back to them. Yeah,
so just watching them soak up the moment and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Was there a moment there where does he ever nudge him and like, hey, how about that Friday Night Lights camp? Like did he remind you about it?
He reminds me all the time. He goes, don't forget why you're at this, where you're at right now. You won state. It never happened if I didn't take you to this. Don't forget that. So he's going to appreciate me saying this. Otherwise, I would have got shit for it.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I'm glad he got his props. Did he go to Mount Carmel too?
No, Tilden Tech grad.
Okay. Because that's usually how it works, right? Most people kind of go where their dad went on the south side for the most part.
Absolutely, especially the Mount Carmel. You think of legacy kids and alumni, and I was the only kid from my family to go to Mount Carmel. My older brother went to Brother Rice.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, he didn't play football at all. He tried freshman football at Brother Rice. He went through triples and everything like that. Then as soon as triples ended, he quit. He went through the hardest part.
The worst part.
Right. It's funny, I'll go into this little story, but brothers are really good. My older brother, Jim's a good athlete, doesn't like to be told what to do. So that's why sports never worked out for him. Right. Yeah. But he was always, he would come home being miserable after triples, saying he's one of the best kids on the team, one of the best kids on the team. So I remember being, I was 2-3 years behind him, 6th grade or so. Me and my dad went to go watch a triples practice, and he forgot his belt that day. So he's running around the field laps with his ass hanging out. He was the last kid in line. It was just the downfall from there.
Yeah, and that's a tough day.
Rough.
You're fucked.
Yeah, but no, I was the only. Then my younger brother went to Mount Carmel, Justin, who's at NIU now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, me and my brother only went to go to Mount Carmel.
So how many kids altogether?
Yeah, I have 2 other brothers. Okay. Yeah, Jim, younger brother, Justin.
Okay. So Brother Rice, Carmel.
Yes.
Got you.
Yep.
Okay. Did you just put the pressure on you? You put the heat on you? It's like, we need you here? Is that or?
Yeah, I had our current AD right now is Phil Seagross, who just took over. He was the guy that kind of came out to my games and got me to go to Mount Carmel. He's the one who kind of showed the first interest in introducing me to Mount Carmel. And, obviously Mount Carmel, I forgot how many state championships they had back in the day in 2005, but that was one of the best programs in the state, mm-hmm. and they were really, starting to hit it off. And I've always grew up watching them, and I wanted to be around the best. That's how I was. Mm-hmm. If you consider yourself the best, you got to be around the best. Mm. And I considered myself the best. So Mount Carmel is a no-brainer to me. And,
who was runner-up if there was one?
Oof. If there was one?
Yeah.
Back in the day?
Yeah. Let's
Wait, are you looking for the St. Pat's? You say what you want me to say?
I know you're not taking that trip off.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, Maine South was really good. You
were thinking about it?
No, no, I'm sorry.
Where you're gonna go?
Yeah. Where I was gonna go? My bad.
Or was it always?
No. You know what? I grew up in Bridgeport.
Okay.
I had there was a quarterback at De La Salle at the time named Cedric Mossman.
Okay.
Played quarterback at De La Salle. One of the legendary coaches there, recruiters, was a guy named V-Tech. So he was my neighbor in Bridgeport in Canaryville, where I lived, and. De La Salle was number 2. I had a cousin that went to De La Salle. De La Salle was the second option for me.
No shit, De La Salle.
That'd have been wild, huh?
That'd have been wild.
Yeah.
Hey, great stadium though. They got the L off the back there.
Love it.
That was a very cool place to play.
Right.
Great stadium. So obviously, I gotta ask, how are things with Frank now, Coach Lenti? Did he reach out when he won any contact at all?
No, I haven't had any contact, and I think it's one of those that, time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great for the school for Coach Frank to be back.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the success you have to give, you got to give credit to him, right? He's done a great job with that program ever since, when he took over until, one of his final days there. He's one of the winningest coaches, if not the winningest coach in
Mm-hmm.
Illinois football history. So it's, I think time heals all wounds. And I think someday, I think he'll be back at Mount Carmel.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's your belief. He'll be there.
I think so.
Yeah. And just going through that whole situation, how hard was that for you?
It definitely, not the easiest transition in the world to walk into, right? You got to stay focused. You got to keep your mind on your main goal. And the main goal is taking care of the kids, right?
Yeah.
Giving the kids opportunities and things like that. So you got to weather the storm early. And that's where I started off by giving a lot of credit to Dave Lynch, his brother staying on, and kind of, a lot of success goes to Dave too. Dave was around when Frank was there, and a lot of state championships were won, obviously by Frank, but by Dave too. And Dave, by staying on, and Frank's son, Frankie, staying on too. Those are guys that have made the transition very smooth and easy, and a lot of our success goes to both of those guys that really weathering the storm and making an easy transition for me. So I give those guys a lot of credit.
And I assume that's obviously the only high school job you would have taken?
Absolutely. Yeah. I never thought about high school coaching, to be honest with you.
Really?
I played 2 years out in the CFL. That's when Rod Carey called me up and brought me in and offered me the running back's job. I knew I was kind of prolonging my life out in the CFL. I always knew, I wanted to be around football. So Rod offered me that job, and I thought it was a no-brainer. Coming back home, get to coach, really get to start my career at 26 years old. I get to skip the GA process. I get to be a Division I running backs coach back at the school that recruited me to the school I fell in love with and had a lot of success with. So it was a no-brainer. Coached 1 year at NIU, had an absolute blast. Mount Carmel reached out, not sure the time frame, somewhere in December, and just kind of had to sit there and think about it. I had big thing for me is when I took that NIU job, I was just getting married. I didn't have any kids. Then later on in December, I had my first kid coming in January, Olivia, who's now 5 years old. So it's had to think, not only did I have to, when I first took the job at NIU, I just really had to think about myself. Now I got to think about my family and every decision I do. So I thought it was best I always wanted to watch my kids grow up. Mm-hmm. My parents were always around watching my sporting events, and I thought it was awesome. So this job, Mount Carmel, allows me to have a lot of flexibility. And here I am now. I got 4 kids under 6 years old. Mm-hmm. So I get crazy if I miss my daughter's gymnastics practice. I like being around. I love being involved. I think it helps obviously 2-parent home and the growth and development of kids. And I love being around my kids. They're my best friends. So
That's great, man. Because I think I assume just falls are always tougher, but obviously the other months, if Mount Carmel allows you to make it work, that's huge.
Yeah, the high school football, Mount Carmel, man, we work like Division I coaches. We are in there grinding. I'm opening up the doors some days at 3:30 just to watch some film and get ahead of it. Like, this is everything to us, and we have coaches that grind just as much as I do. The off season is where it really changes, right? There's a lot of downtime. I can be home every single day at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and that allows me to get to all my kids' stuff and pick them up from school at times.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to building, a powerhouse, what's one thing you kind of instill in these guys, or what's one thing? Because just talking, I told you I had Holocheck in here a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey, if you're a program where the kids are going home at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, you're toast. Like, you're toast." Mm-hmm. So is there something like that where you're like, "Hey, like, this is how it needs to be done, and this is the only way you're going to get to the top spot"?
Absolutely. And these are, obviously with my background, my success, and I've been through it all. So these kids, you got instant credibility, right? When I walk in the door, these kids want to get to the level I've been to and I played at and beyond, and so you try to teach them the right way to do things and how to do things and how to be successful. And he's right. Coach Holosek's right. Our kids we demand a lot from our kids. We demand a lot. And with practice, with film time, with studying notes from Huddle, which is our app to use, watch film and stuff like that. And you have to have so many Huddle minutes a week. And, we run our program like a Division I program. And a lot of college coaches that come in and watch us work out and watch us go through practice and watch us script practice and break down film and putting all the data input. It's second to none. And there's a reason why we have, one of the best team, if not the best in the state of Illinois. It's by the way we handle things and how we go about our business.
How many kids were on the varsity team?
This year, 75.
75?
Yeah, which is great.
That's a fucking number.
Just look back at when I first got to Mount Carmel, freshman team had 48 kids. We got high as 82 kids on the freshman football team. This year we had like 70, we'll just say. We had, 75 varsity, 70 freshmen, put you at 145 plus another 50. We're close to 200 kids in our program.
That's insanely impressive.
Numbers are great, and we have our entrance exam test coming up this Saturday, and our numbers right now are looking really good. Knock on wood that they're only going to get better. It's we've done a great job. Like I said, it's obviously state championships help it, right? Mm-hmm. But our whole administration staff and from our president Brendan Conrad, our principal Scott Tabernacki, those guys do a really good job of marketing the school, Mount Carmel, and getting out in front of people and things like that. And it's I think the best is yet to come for Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
I truly believe it.
Well, were things looking hairy there for a second, though? Because wasn't there talk about co-ed?
There was. We're at like 580 kids, and that's a comfortable number for us. Yeah. So things weren't going down. It was, if anything, it was brought up by one of our guys on our board, and it kind of got – I thought it was a smart idea to bring it up in regards to this is you got a lot of people on board, old alumni and younger alumni that started having a voice, and they started getting back. And we're like, hey, if you don't want to go down this route, these are some of the numbers financially where we need people to start giving back. Mm-hmm. And it drew a lot of awareness. A lot of people started coming back and giving back because they didn't want to go co-ed, right?
Yeah.
So if anything, it was a pretty smart idea to bring that up to make people start getting on board.
Yeah, getting excited again, kind of just getting involved. I mean, there's not many left, man. I think it's Mount Carmel, Rice, Rita, Pats, Notre Dame, and I think Leo. I think. Right? Are we missing anyone that are just all boys Catholic schools anymore?
I think you're right on it.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it. So there's not many left. So
right.
It's a crazy thought, but I don't know. It's polarizing too. Some people are like, yeah, why not? If it's going to help the lifeblood. Some people are absolutely not. That's not my school.
Yeah, right. And I think just where you're at. I think it's helped a few schools, right, that have did it. It totally revamped some of the schools. Yeah. I don't think Mount Carmel is one of those schools, though, Mm-hmm. Just where we're at, where we're located, and everything that goes into just our campus, too, right?
Yeah.
You go co-ed, you're going to want a lot of stuff to be on campus, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want your girls walking across Stony Island and go play tennis, right? You're going to have to build tennis courts on the – and I just don't know if we have the area, the room, to do some of that stuff. So, once again, it drew some awareness of getting those guys back, some of those alumni. So
in the long run, it was a good thing then.
Yeah.
How's this new I haven't seen this new stadium yet. I'll be honest, like in my head, Mount Carmel's Gately, though, So, I'm sure it's nice for you.
Right.
You walk out the building and you got a stadium there. That's awesome. But it's crazy.
It's right. You think of Mount Carmel back in the day, Gately Stadium with the turf, right? It was awesome. Some of my best memories at Mount Carmel were at Gately Stadium. But you just talk about like financially with Father's Club and collecting ticket sales and not paying for bus fees to drive on home games. Financially, it's been a true just blessing for us. Man, we played Batavia this year. There had to be 5,000 people. We played St. Rita earlier in the year. There's another 5,000 people. Mm-hmm. It's the place is awesome. You have to come and see it. I know Edgy Tim wrote an article. It's one of the best stadiums he's ever been at in high school.
Really?
Stadium. It's compact. Probably fits 2,200 people or so. People circle the field like an old school game. and it reminds you of an NBA stadium. It's like the lights are just on the stadium. Everything else is blacked out in the back, and it's old buildings that it echoes, and it's really becomes very loud, and it's a huge home field advantage for us. And I'm not sure what our record is since we played there, but I remember we lost to Loyola one year, and that was in like 2020 maybe. But I don't remember too many losses playing there.
I mean, I say new. It's been there for like what? 5 years now?
2018, I know we played some games there, but it wasn't done. The press box, the bleachers, things weren't there. I think 2019 was the first year of it.
No, that's great. I mean, that's definitely a fucking project that to pull that off. So let's get into the hot button topic, the public versus private.
There we go. There it is.
Here it is. I mean, this is what everyone's talking about. I saw you tweeting a little bit after the game. Saw some of your guys tweeting at one of the Antioch coaches. Where do we stand now? And I also saw your quote that got taken out of context by some people.
Yeah. First off, I couldn't imagine sitting around Thanksgiving and sending tweets out like that. Like, how miserable can you be to start off? And there's never, I've said it my whole life, there's never going to be a shortage of losers in this world, man. There's never going to be a shortage of losers. We have a great game. We play some of these public schools, and seems like a great game. They're hard fought. We win the game, then these coaches get quoted in the papers, and Catholic school coaches no one ever asks them about anything, So these guys are just absolutely teeing off the whole time on Catholic schools, which it's not fair. I've always been a believer of just look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. If you have to go after someone else and talk about something, look in the mirror and try to, what can you do better? I'm a firm believer, but you talk about the whole Catholic school versus, public school, and kind of what I said is, every kid at Mount Carmel is recruited. Every kid's recruited to Mount Carmel to be a student. Then if they play sports, they're a student athlete. But every kid is recruited there. We have 580 all boys. I made the comment of, we don't know as a Catholic school where our next meal is coming from. Meaning, we don't know if we're going to be open next year if we don't get out there and recruit all these students, right?
100%. I mean, there's so many schools that rested on their laurels and they got too fat and happy, and then they closed their doors because they stopped recruiting. They stopped, trying to get
You're
kids.
only as good as your last year. It's like I said, we have the entrance exam test coming up, and we have our director of admissions, Jeff Sturr, and our assistant director of admission, Noel Bax, have done a really good job of getting out to some of these grammar schools and talking to the kids. And, a lot of our coaches, we go to youth football games. We go to youth football games, watch the kids, and see if they're right fits for Mount Carmel. People aren't recruiting themselves. Mount Carmel, we have the most state championships, and we're a great school, been around a long time, but people aren't just walking through the doors. You got to get out. You got to sell your program. So that's where I made the comment is we don't know where our next meal is coming from. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, man. We got to fight every single year. And the public schools, right, they have feeder programs, right? They're getting kids. They know their school's going to be open next year. They get kids that work together, that grow up together from the time they're in Pop Warner football all the way in time till they're at their certain school. They know exactly what they're getting. And they we have 580 boys. They get 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 kids, right? So they know where their next meal's coming from.
100%.
Right? It's that's where I made that comment. But it's how about just getting better, right? How about getting better? Nothing's coaching's hard, man. Coaching's hard, and get better, develop your team. Hold your kids accountable, love your kids, and fight next year. But instead, I get it. People are competitors, right? I'm one of the biggest competitors out there, but I hold myself accountable. If we lose or something goes wrong, it's on me. I'm not going out in the papers and blaming something else or someone else. Look in the mirror, fix your own program, and let it be. Catholic schools are going to be around.
Yeah, and nothing's perfect, right?
Right.
Nothing's perfect. And there are public schools that are able to do it 100%. and I think those have kind of stood the test of time too, like the Lincoln East and the Maine Souths. And like you said, the Maine South Falcons or whatever the hell they are, they've been running those fucking bubble screens since they were out of the crib, dude. Since they were out of the crib,
right.
And they've done a great job. They've built a great program. But I think that's what people don't realize is all it takes for you to, be asleep at the wheel for a couple years, and down goes the whole school.
Absolutely.
100. Like I kind of feel like that happened in my school. It sounds like we're getting on the right track again now, but you get kind of complacent, you're fucked.
Right.
Like it's over. You're like it'll go down for you as fast as you built it up. So it's constant grinding and constant, making sure everything's tightened.
You're
up.
only as good as your last win, your last state championship. Truly believe that. It's great to celebrate and go, but it's go time once again.
Yeah,
it's go time once again.
When is that? Like, so when are you just won? You literally just won your third state title on Saturday. When are you back? Like, to how much time of rest do you get now?
I like to take a little bit, right? But I mean, I'm kind of crazy in my own mind, and my wheels are spinning of who do we got coming back in our program? Who are some of our underclassmen that are coming back, and kind of moving around little pieces on my board and depth chart and seeing what are, some of our needs from our lower level kids coming up and who are we going to pull up. You always got to kind of keeping your wheels spinning. And the hard thing with, kind of backtrack a little bit, but with got out of college football, right? In college, you talk football 24/7, right? You're recruiting 24/7. You got to recruit your own kids in the building these days, right? Mm-hmm. Now with high school, most of my coaches, our teachers, are outside the building. Like, where do I get my football fix, right? That's my big next thing, because I got to keep growing and developing as a coach. Otherwise, I'm going to get left behind myself, right? Because I'm not around it 24/7 like some of the college football coaches. So I'm constantly listening to podcasts. I'm constantly, Dan Casey's one of those guys out there that posts like a play a day. Like, I bought his books and I'm reading through the books, and I'm trying to learn, grow, and develop as a coach also. So I'll speak at some coaching clinics just to keep my mind fresh and what's the new hot topic offensively, right? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I said, we got our entrance exam test coming up. Kind of breathe after Saturday a little bit. Then we'll get our one of the guys I want to mention on this podcast, our strength conditioning coach, Joe Kubik, who's been around for a long time, St. Francis de Sales grad. But this guy loves Mount Carmel, and he's a guy that does a great job with our kids. We do a program called Caravan Tough. We'll start in January, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 a.m. And, man, you talk about that goes on for 6 months. Kids wear the same shirt, same socks, same shorts, and the doors close. If you're not in by 5:58, the doors will close, and you will stand out there. And you know how many kids that we have in that program, the Caravan Tough? We have 200 kids in the program. We have 130 kids that go to that at 6 a.m. in the morning in January when it's below zero. He's done a great job of instilling our culture and holding these kids accountable. That's where these kids realize that's where games are won. They're won in the off season. We won the state championship back in February, believe it or not. And so we'll get that started pretty soon. And those are some long days, man. Opening up the doors at 5:15 a.m. It's cold. You can't, feel your hands, and it's not. It's uncommon for a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid to be there at that age, or at that age, and 3 days a week for 6 months. But Joe Kubik, I just want to make sure I mention him. He did a great job and does a great job, continues to do a great job for us at Mount Carmel.
Packing 130 kids in there.
Man, yeah, you got to make it work, right?
That's it, dude. That's it. What about going away from the Veer? I wanted to touch on that. That decision. Pretty easy one?
Yes.
Because obviously in my head, it's like that's what you guys did.
For sure. You think of Mount Carmel, and you think of the Veer option, and you think about the best ever to run the Veer option in high school was Mount Carmel. I just looked at, once again, adapt or get left behind, right? Veer option worked, but I've learned a whole new system. I've been in a different system from playing in the CFL to playing in college to a little bit with the Bears. Like, I've learned Matt Canada's system is kind of what we run, right? The guy just got fired for the Steelers, right? So I had Matt Canada for 2 years. He was my quarterback coach at NIU.
Oh, no shit.
So it's I've learned his system, and you talk about a guy that football it's too easy for him. It's too easy. So, but I've learned that system. I've been around that system because when Matt Canada left to go to NC State with Dave Dorn, we retained that system. Rod Carey ran the same system. So that's a system kind of we run now with a little, twist to it and things like that. And I think it's an easy system to learn. I think it's a good way to get some of our athletes that we have in the building, just the ball in space. It's a quarterback-friendly driven offense also. And, I mean, you look at it, I've been there for 5 full seasons. 4 of the quarterbacks that have played, the only 4 quarterbacks that have started and played every year have gone to school for free. Division I quarterbacks all have gone to school for free. So it's a quarterback-driven friendly system. So it's fun. No, it's Mount Carmel, the very option has worked for many years, and it's been great, right? But it's one of those, right? It's adapt or get left behind, and we had to adapt a little bit.
I will say, though, I've said this before on other podcasts, I do hope it never dies. Now with Paul Johnson gone and from college,
right?
It just feels like it's on life support. It's almost at extinction level.
Yeah, absolutely. But if I'm one of those teams, like you look at the SEC, if I'm one of those teams in the SEC that never stands a chance of winning, I'd move right to it right now. It's your only shot of winning the SEC title.
It's amazing that nobody's tried it.
Right.
Like, really, in like a power conference like that.
Yep.
Besides, obviously, Georgia Tech,
right?
Johnson. Yeah. But
do you know if they ever won an ACC title when he was there?
Georgia Tech, I don't know, but they've definitely had winning seasons.
They were ranked, right? They came close.
They competed for sure.
That's I always think about in the SEC. Like some of those teams that are never going to win it, why not try it?
Yeah, dude, for sure. No, for 100%. We gotta talk about your guy too, Darian Dupree.
Yes,
I mean one of the best college running backs or best high school running backs I think I've seen. Holy shit!
I totally agree. You talk about Mount Carmel and all the top athletes that have been through that building with Donovan McNabb, Simeon Rice, and Nate Turner. In my opinion, right? I've only been back for 6 years. I went to school there for 4 years, and I saw a lot of football. I want to see some of the guys back in the day do what this kid does. He is incredible. You don't know if this kid has 40 offers or 0 offers the way he works, too. Comes to work every single day. He's a captain. He's a coach's dream. And the running joke in the coach's office is there's only one person that can hold Darian Dupree under 100 yards. It's myself by not giving him the ball enough. We beat Batavia, and he only had 6 total touches, but he had 3 touchdowns. And it's like we spread the ball out, and I want to make sure he's fresh and healthy going into college. That kid's got a big future ahead of him.
Huge.
But unselfish kid, works his tail off, man, and that kid deserves everything he gets. I'm gonna miss him. It's unfair. It's unfair for that kid to play high school football. Here's a crazy thing too is his birthday. He's got the same birthday as my son, which is August 6th, right? And that's right around. You're the youngest in your class. That kid could only be a junior right now, really. Can you imagine having him back for another year?
I couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't. I went to the game last year. I went to the semifinal game at Rita, and seeing him in person, I was just like, how was this guy in high school?
Right.
That's unreal.
He's got an Alabama offer for a reason.
Yes.
He's the best of the best.
You think he flips?
I don't know. He's here's the thing. Tommy Reese ended up offering him at Alabama, who good friend of mine, came out at the same year, ended up being really good friends at the combine, and just kind of this whole coaching circle just keeping I know Tommy would take care of him if he went down there, right?
For sure.
But like as good as he is, and especially there's 6 other kids that look like Darian Dupree down in Alabama, you know, where I don't know if there's another player that looks like him at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin's got to come back in the building. I think they're going to take care of him. You know, they can't screw a kid over at Wisconsin. They got to come back to Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
Alabama doesn't have to come to Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right.
So,
and Wisconsin has a rich history in running backs as well.
Right. And I know they switched their whole system. They're kind of air raid, and he's a kid that can play Division I receiver too. So I think the system fits him really well.
Yeah.
He'll be successful no matter where he goes, though.
Yeah. We're buddies with Tommy too. We've had him on the show. I think he's a Chicago guy though. He'd take care of him.
He'd take care of him for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm very interested to watch his career continue though.
Absolutely.
He's a stud.
Can you imagine being his coach? Like, I get a free sideline pass to watch him play. Like, that's what I am. I give him the ball and just watch him play. Forget looking at defenses. I become the biggest fan.
Yeah.
And some of the things you do, like I got a sideline pass to watch it up close and personal.
Yeah. Where's he from?
Right down the street, right off Cottage Grove.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So he's pretty local.
Local, yeah. Play for the Hyde Park Spartans.
Okay.
Yep.
And now let's get into that whole thing too about people back, kind of circling back to the public versus private. What's the recruiting process like for you? Like, what's just so like people always think they have this idea. Mm-hmm. How would you best describe this idea?
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, they're getting kids from Indiana, they're going this far. Like, is it really like that?
It's well, you got to meet your boundaries and your rules, right? There's a 30-mile radius that you can recruit kids from. So if they're outside that 30-mile radius, they can. Here's the crazy thing: they can still come to Mount Carmel if you're outside that 30-mile radius. You're just not eligible to play sports.
Really?
Which is crazy to me, because if a parent wants to make a sacrifice to send their kid to Mount Carmel, mm-hmm. and they're outside the 30-mile radius, why, and they're paying tuition, why are you ineligible for sports? But so we recruit within the 30 miles, the rules that allows us. And I'm not sure the percentage of kids that do come from Northwest Indiana that meet those boundaries, that we get kids to come over, mm-hmm. take the Skyway over, and it's a 25-minute drive or so.
Yeah, so there is a percentage of people that are doing that, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We get kids from Indiana. Mm-hmm. We get kids from all over the spot.
Mm-hmm.
South side of Chicago, those Catholic League schools are really really good to us. And, the other Catholic League, those are where we compete against with the, St. Rita, St. Lawrence, Marist, mm-hmm. Brother Rice. But it's, to me, you have to find the right kid academically. You got to find the right parents, right? Mm-hmm. It's you got to meet the parents. But I always try to check a few boxes. You always want to get the kids down on campus, right? You always want to get them to an open house, and you want to get them to the shadow day. You can check those 3 boxes, you have a really good shot of getting the kid in your building. You can check 2 of the 3 of those boxes, you still have a good shot. But we try to check all 3 of those boxes, and that's kind of our process, our procedure. And like I said, we recruit. Every kid in the building is recruited. We recruit every kid in the building. It's academically, we recruit every kid in the building.
Speaking of Rita, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Hopkins family. I'm pretty excited about what they got going on. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it? Obviously, your biggest rival.
Right. It's I grew up with Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Martin was one of my really good friends. Growing up, and kind of lost contact a little bit. I know he got played at Iowa, got in the coaching world at Iowa, and kind of, I think, moved out east for a few years or so, but always kind of stayed in touch a little bit. But I thought it was an absolute great hire. I think Martin's a great dude. He's got a great vision. He's gonna get St. Rita back to where St. Rita was back in where they made those state championship runs and things mm-hmm. like that. And he's taken over for a legendary coach, Coach Kuska, also, who's done a great job, and he's really made that transition pretty easy too. And I see him at some of the games, and staying, helping Martin, and it's year 1. They're Prep Bowl champions, right? Something to kind of hang your hat and be proud of. And it's we're rivals for sure. It's you always want to beat your rival, and I'm a competitive person, right? So
I see that. I see that every time you look at me and you say that to me. I believe it.
So I wanna win, but at the end of the day, Martin's a great dude, and it's a great family, and I've always been a huge fan.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to kind of watch it get going again with you 2 facing off. But I guess my question is, like, how long are we doing this now? You got 3. Mm-hmm. Like, is this for life? You gonna look around a little bit? Where you at?
Yeah, like I said, I have 4 kids, and I have a wife at home. I got to do what's best for my family.
Yeah.
I love Mount Carmel. I'm not looking for anything else, to be honest with you. I love Mount Carmel. I'm happy where I'm at. Something presents itself, got to take care of my family. I got to do what's best for my family. And if mm-hmm. that's Mount Carmel, that's Mount Carmel. If that's some other job, it's some other job. But I got to do what's best for my family now. And I think Mount Carmel understands that. And
I think everyone in general should.
Right.
Like, it's just kind of, you coach, and obviously you want to do right by the kids, but you're also, you coach to kind of elevate yourself and see how far you can get, right? Like you're a competitive person. I'm sure you want to see how you do at the next level or something like that.
Absolutely. And I tell the same thing to my coaches that are under me, right? If I can't offer you a coordinator job and you're just going to be a position coach under me for so many years, what are you doing? You got to elevate your game. You got to grow. You got to develop. You got to learn. If you want to be a coordinator and have aspirations of being a head coach, and I can't offer you any more than just a position coach, you got to move on though. So I tell my coaches that, you're always trying to learn. You're always trying to grow for sure. I am, I'll leave it at this, that I'm happy. I love Mount Carmel. It's a great supportive staff, and we have a great thing going.
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing going right now. Yeah. To be honest with you, it's a scary thing going, and it all starts with our administration staff. Everyone's on board, from academically to athletically of what we're doing, and it's a great thing when you get everyone on board at Mount Carmel. That's the sky's the limit.
Yeah. Has that been like a question people keep asking you?
It's been since day one, since 2018. I took over. I've been
really.
Yeah. I was supposed to go out to Temple and coach quarterbacks. That was new to me. People find out stuff before I find out, so it's I just kind of go with it and joke with it. Yeah.
Yeah. But that'd be an adjustment too, though, man. There's a lot of varying factors.
Right.
Because are you obviously you got your guy who you said takes care of the strength, the whole strength program, but you're in the weeds, kind of. Like you said, you're leaving at 2:30 most of the time in the off season. So you got a good staff that's kind of taking care of them under. You reverse it, you're kind of right back in that mix, which I'm sure you'd welcome if that's where the path you go down. But it's just it's different.
Right. Yeah. It's I guess I don't hit me with the question again.
No, I'm just saying, like when it comes to what you want, like of course you always want to excel, but like if you did take a quarterback's coach at Temple or something like that, it's just you'd be totally doing something different, and like who knows if you want to go back like that again. I don't know.
Here's the other thing too: when you get a little taste of kind of setting your own schedule and being a head coach and doing things the way you like it, it's kind of hard to backtrack, especially like. Take a job. We're on the Temple train right now, right? Let's just say take a job at Temple and you're a quarterback coach, but I don't get to pick my staff and I'm not with the guys that I trust and are loyal to me.
Exactly.
It's tough.
100%. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting, because putting yourself in a good situation is huge.
Right.
I mean, what do they say? Like if you're a head coach, you're just waiting to get fired or something like that. Like there's just it's your first day and then like you just count your days till your last. Like it's inevitable for most people.
That's I was told I think by Jerry Kill that told me this, that he's like, if you ever want to get out of coaching, become a head coach. That's and it's so true.
Yeah.
Especially at the college level, right?
Yeah.
It's so much other stuff that goes into it. But I'm having a blast, man. One of my favorite things to do is to call plays. I'm an offensive minded. I love calling plays, and I love being a coordinator also with the head coach. So something I enjoy, and I know it gets harder and harder if in college to do that and be a head coach too. So it's once again, happy, love Mount Carmel, but opportunities, may present themselves, but not looking for anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Has anybody called?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're it is what it is. We'll leave it at that.
Right.
We could leave it at that. I meant to say this about Kill too. They won 10 games at New Mexico State this year.
Did they really?
Yeah, they went 10-3.
They beat Auburn, right?
Yeah, dude. That guy is a stud everywhere. Because I went to Southern. Yeah. So he went to Southern to Northern and Minnesota, and then he took some time off, and then he's back there. Incredible coach. Yeah. Incredible. All right, then, Jordan, we could end it on this. I guess when you look at this stretch here, what are you most proud of?
Most proud of is developing these young kids. Mm-hmm. Being around, this is the most important time in life of these high school kids. A lot of kids that we get to don't have two-parent homes, right? So football is their father. I'm their father. I get to watch these kids grow up, develop, learn, and there's nothing better than seeing a kid. We have a saying at Mount Carmel: you come to Carmel as a boy. If you care to work and struggle at it, you'll leave as a man. So seeing some of these boys come through Mount Carmel freshman year and leaving as men and going to college at, and sometimes the opportunity, use football to get your education, and a lot of our kids do. They end up having really great careers with us, and they're going to school for free, which are, it's sometimes it's first time in their family they're going to school for free or going to college, right? So watching those kids come as boys, developing, maturing, doing things the right way, never taking shortcuts, and watching those guys succeed and go on and play or go on to college.
Well said. Jordan Lynch, thank you for coming in. This was fun, man.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you guys.
Anything else we want to get out there before we wrap up?
No.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
all right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Jordan. All right, everybody. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.